You know, 7 is often considered to be a lucky number.
7,
7,
7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
Ultraseven. Hello and welcome to Earth Alien ProtoMet, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at the third entry in the Ultra series, Ultraseven. No, it's not the 7th entry, it's the 3rd. So how does this show stack up to Ultraman? Let's find out. Earth is faced with a threat of invasion from many planets. Defending the planet is the Ultra Guard, a specialized branch of the Terrestrial Defense Force. But when the invading forces grow more powerful, the Ultra Guard finds themselves a new recruit, Dan Moroboshi, who secretly transforms into the giant hero Ultraseven. Despite being a follow-up to Ultraman and having a similar premise, Ultraseven is very different from its predecessor. While Ultraman was largely colorful and a bit silly, Ultraseven was noticeably darker and more serious in tone. I won't say that the show is clearly made for adults, that's Ultraseven X, but this show took its premise quite seriously. While not as comedic as Ultraman though, the show isn't without some humor. There's just far more drama than comedy. And while some of the alien designs are pretty silly looking, the characters never treat any threat to Earth as a joke. Unless that's the point of the episode's story. Speaking of aliens, that's what the show focuses on. There are a handful of monsters that the Ultra Guard and Ultraseven have to deal with, but the majority of the enemies in this series are extraterrestrials. Sometimes the aliens aren't even invaders, like Carasso, an escaped criminal who simply murders people and guzzles gasoline, or Pegasa, who only tries to destroy Earth in an attempt to protect his race's traveling city from crashing into the planet. Most of the other members of the Ultra Guard don't feel very well developed. Sure, their leader, Kiriyama, is a fantastic leader, probably the best defense team leader in the entire franchise, and Ann pulls double duty as not only an active member of the team, but also the resident medic. But the other remaining members, Amagi, Soga, and Furuhashi, are almost completely identical to each other. Heck, I still have a hard time telling Amagi, who, interestingly enough, is played by the suit actor who played Ultraman in the previous series, and Soga apart. The only reason I recognize Furuhashi as a different character is because his actor had previously played Arashi in Ultraman. Then he's one of the only characters to return in the Heisei Ultraseven series. But I don't mind that generic feel because they all still come across as professionals who put their job of defending Earth first and foremost, and they do so convincingly. But what about Dan? Well, obviously he stands out because he's the titular hero of the series, and he has quite an arsenal at his disposal despite appearances. In his human form, Ultraseven can summon 3 monsters, Wyndham, Miklas, and Agira, to deal with the various threats to Earth while he's unable to transform. And as Ultraseven, his head crest, the Eye Slugger, can detach and be used as a blade weapon that he can throw to slice opponents to pieces. He can fire an Amerium ray from his forehead, and he can fire a wide shot by crossing his arms and aiming at enemies. And those are just some of his attacks. He can also change his size depending on the situation, even shrinking down to microscopic level. But if I keep going on about his abilities, this will wind up being a Kaiju Hall of Fame, and that's Tank's territory. Dan's actor, Koji Muratsugu, considers this his favorite role. So much so that his home is actually a museum dedicated to Ultraseven. And he's even reprised the role in almost every subsequent appearance of the character to this very day. Speaking of, you may have noticed that earlier I mentioned a couple spin-offs. In the 90s, Tsuburaya decided to resurrect Ultraseven, initially with a pair of TV specials in 1994, and later with direct-to-video episodes, known collectively as Heisei Ultraseven. There was also a short TV series, Ultraseven X, that aired in 2007, and was geared towards an adult audience. I won't go into too much detail about those, because I feel that I should make separate videos for them. But suffice it to say that Ultraseven is really popular. And for good reason. Many episodes felt like there was a moral to take away from the events they're in, and the show never tried to talk down to its audience. I'd go as far as to say that Ultraseven was the tokusatsu equivalent to Batman the Animated Series. Ultraseven is a must-watch for any tokusatsu fan, for very different reasons than Ultraman was. Until next time, I'm ProtoMet. See ya.